Welcome to my study, my office, or as it says on the door, my man cave. But this is also my quiet place where I pray. Prayer has been part of my life since I said yes to Jesus when I was a teenager. And from then on, I have tried to pray. Sometimes it seems to have worked better than others. Sometimes I've come away thinking, could have done that better. And this has been the place where there have been some robust conversations with God, and some, from my point of view, disappointments of prayers that have not been answered or been answered in different ways. And I have discovered that God knows better than I do. Jesus is praying. Now that may be surprising because we tend to think, or our world tends to make us think, that prayer is only for people who are weak and who need some kind of crutch to lean on. You can hardly describe Jesus like that. Jesus is praying. Jesus prays lots of times in the gospel story and has this conversation really with his Father, where he is able to bring things to his Father and have conversations with him. All kinds of times in his ministry before he makes big decisions, when he's tired, when he needs help. And then lastly, on the night before he died. And we read one of these prayers in John's Gospel, and he tells us that Jesus does two things when he prays. The second thing he does is that he prays for his friends. And that's perhaps not too surprising to us, because if we pray at all, that's probably the place where we go first, is to pray for people that we know, or even to pray for ourselves and to ask God to help us or to help others. And Jesus prays for his disciples that they will be protected and that they will be united in the days to come. The other thing that Jesus does in that prayer is really to think aloud. It's a kind of thinking aloud conversation with his Father, where he's reflecting on his life, on his faith, and on what that interaction between faith and life will mean for him in the next 24, 48 hours of his life, of his death, and then of his resurrection. And it's that kind of thinking aloud kind of prayer that is one that we maybe don't quite find so easy to do, or have not had the habit of doing, when we just simply sit quietly in our quiet place and reflect on God, or reflect on life and faith. And often these conversations are initiated by something that we read in the Bible, and that Bible reading can lead us into that kind of conversation that asks us and lets us ask God where faith and life interact for us, and what that means for us and for our lives and for the kind of people that we are. Do you have a quiet place, somewhere where you can spend 5 minutes in that kind of thinking aloud conversation with God? Not asking for anything particular, not necessarily praying for other people, but maybe reading something in the Bible and reflecting on that and thinking aloud in conversation with God about what you've read and how that impacts on your life and the kind of person that you will be. That's prayer. And for many of us, that's something that we find quite hard to do. But it's valuable, and it shapes us, and it helps us, and it allows us to be people who walk in the ways of the Lord all the days of our lives.